time in a far-off land, when pigs had wings and camels could fly, there lived a king and a queen who had an only son whose name was Prince Omar. Now time comes and time goes, and at last the time came when Prince Omar was supposed to do what every prince is supposed to do. He was supposed to find a princess and marry her. But try as he would, Prince Omar could not find a princess that he liked well enough. And then one day, an old woman who worked in the palace came to Prince Omar and she said, "Oh, my lord, Prince Omar, I know where there is a princess. She is so beautiful. She has never been seen by the sun or the moon. She's your fate. She's the one that you should marry." "Oh," said Prince Omar, "but how can I find her?" "It's easy, Prince Omar. Just ride for 3 days and 3 nights. You will come to a garden all hedged around with roses, and in the middle of the garden you'll find a lemon tree. And on that lemon tree you'll find 3 ripe, juicy lemons. You must pick those 3 lemons, Prince Omar, and then you must bring them home. But you must promise me, Prince Omar, that you will never, never open those lemons until you are in a place where there's water." Prince Omar got up very early the next morning and got on his horse, and he rode away for 3 days and 3 nights toward the east. And sure enough, there was the garden all hedged around with roses, and in the middle he found a lemon tree. He picked the 3 lemons and put them in his pocket, and then he started home. It was a long way home, and he was riding through the dry desert, and he began to think of those lovely, juicy lemons. And he took one out of his pocket, and he took a knife and he began to cut it open. And all at once, there rose up a beautiful girl out of that lemon. And she said, "Oh, water! I must have water." But they were in the desert, and there was no water. She rose up in the air and disappeared in a mist, and she was gone. Prince Omar was very sad, but what's done is done. So on he rode. Then he began to think about those other 2 lemons and wonder if there might be girls inside them too. So he took the second lemon out, and he cut it open, and sure enough, out of that lemon rose up a girl even more beautiful than the first one. And she too cried out, "Water, water, I need water." But there was no water, and the same thing happened as before. Then Prince Omar realized that he'd better take good care of his last lemon. So he rode and rode till he came to a river, and he stopped and got off his horse and got down by the river. And then he took that other lemon out and cut it open. And the girl that rose up out of that lemon was the most beautiful of all. And he looked at her, and she said, "Water, please, I must have water." And he took her and threw her right down into the water at the edge of the river. And she drank, and she drank, and she drank until she was not thirsty anymore. And then she climbed up out of the water, all naked. So Prince Omar wrapped his cloak around her, and he said, "My lovely lemon princess, you and you alone must be my bride. But before you meet my parents, I think I'd better go and get you some clothes and a horse to ride." And the lemon princess agreed that she would wait. And she called out to a tree that was right beside the river, and she said, "Bend down, tall tree, bend down." And sure enough, the tree bent down, and she climbed up in the branches. And she waited, and Prince Omar rode away. Time comes and time goes, and after a little while, along came a mean and nasty-looking servant girl with rough skin and tangled hair, with a jug of water to get water at the river. And she looked down into the river, and she saw reflected in the clear water the face of the lemon princess who was up in the tree above. And when she saw that beautiful face in the water, she said, "Oh, look at that. I didn't realize that I was so beautiful. Why, I shouldn't have to be a servant if I'm this beautiful." And then she heard a laugh. And a voice said, "Look up. Don't look down." So she looked up into that tree. And she saw the lemon princess, and she said, "Who are you up there in that tree?" And the lemon princess replied, "I'm the lemon princess. I'm waiting here for my bridegroom, Prince Omar, to come back with clothes and a horse for me." Then that mean, nasty servant girl got a mean and nasty idea. "Oh, lady, lovely lady, why don't you let me come up there and wait with you and keep you company?" And the lemon princess was very lonely, so she agreed. And she said, "Bend down, tall tree, bend down." And the tall tree bent down. And that mean, nasty servant girl, she was up in the branches right away. "Are you some kind of fairy maiden from the land of enchantment that you can do magic tricks like this?" And the lemon princess said, "I was once a fairy maiden from the land of enchantment, but now I've come to earth to be a human being and be the lemon princess." "Oh, lady, lovely lady, let me comb your hair." So she took out a comb and she began to comb the lemon princess's hair. And she found a little hairpin stuck way down in the princess's hair. And she said, "Oh, lady, lovely lady, what is this in your hair?" And the lemon princess said, "Oh, that is my talisman. That is my good luck charm. Don't touch that." The servant girl ripped the hairpin out of her hair. And all at once there was a whirring sound. And the lemon princess disappeared. And a white dove rose up into the air and flew away. And it was gone. Time comes and time goes, and pretty soon along came Prince Omar to bring the lemon princess back home. He was very surprised when he looked up in the tree and saw that mean, nasty servant girl with her dried, rough skin and her tangly hair. And he said, "Oh, my, what has happened to you? Your skin was so smooth as ivory, and now, look at it." She said, "Oh, Prince Omar, I just got a sunburn sitting up here in the tree waiting for you to come back. But your lips, they were soft and pink as a rosebud." "Oh, that was the wind parched them, Prince Omar. But your hair, it was long and silky." "Oh, Prince Omar, don't worry about it a bit. The crows tried to build a nest in my hair and they got it all tangled up. But you just wait. When I get home, time will heal all, and I'll be just like I was before." And Prince Omar had no choice but believe her. So down she came from the tree, and he gave her beautiful clothes to wear. There was a pair of baggy blue silk trousers, and a little pair of golden slippers that turned up at the end, and a white blouse all embroidered with gold and beads, and a golden vest and jewelry to wear. And then she climbed up on the horse that he brought, and away they rode to meet Prince Omar's parents. When Prince Omar's parents saw that mean and nasty servant girl, they said, "Surely this is not the girl that you intend to marry." But Prince Omar said, "I have promised to marry her, and I must, and I'm sure that things will improve." Well, pretty soon a white dove appeared in the garden outside Prince Omar's palace, and it sang the saddest song. And Prince Omar used to stand in his garden and listen, and one day he said, "What a sad song that bird sings." And when the wicked, nasty servant girl heard that, she went to the gardeners and she said, "Take that bird that sings in the tree in our garden and kill it and bury it." And the gardeners obeyed her. The next morning, where the bird was buried, there was a tall cypress tree standing in the very spot, and Prince Omar came out and looked at it. "What wonder is this?" he said. "A tall tree where none grew the day before." And then the wind began to blow through the branches of that tall tree. Oh, what a sad sound. And Prince Omar noticed how sad the sound of the wind was. And he mentioned it to the wicked, nasty servant girl. And when she heard that, she went to the gardeners. And she said, "My lord, Prince Omar, I want you to chop down that new tree in the garden. And from the lumber, build a cradle for the son that I will one day bear. And if there's any wood left over, burn it." The gardeners did exactly as she said. And there was a little bit of wood left over. And right then, an old woman who worked in the palace came walking by in search of firewood and asked if she could have that extra wood. And so the gardeners gave it to her. She took that wood back to her little house to burn, to make heat for supper that night. And then she closed the door and went away to go shopping. As soon as she had closed the door, that piece of wood began to shiver and shake all over. And the next thing, it changed into a girl, the Lemon Princess herself. She cleaned, she washed the dishes, she peeled the vegetables, and she made the supper. Then she hid behind the door. The old woman came in from her shopping, and she looked around her room. It looked very good, and she said, "Who has done all this work for me in such a short time? Why, it must be somebody with magical powers." And the Lemon Princess stepped out from behind the door, and she said, "I cooked for you. I washed your dishes. I cleaned. Now, I have a favor to ask. I want you to go to Prince Omar and tell him there's a girl that lives in your house, and she knows how to weave the most beautiful carpets in the entire world. And if he will give her silk threads, she will make him the finest carpet that has ever been seen under the sun." So the old woman went to Prince Omar and asked for the silken threads, and he gave them to her. And the Lemon Princess set to work weaving the most beautiful carpet in the world. Well, time comes and time goes, and the time came for Prince Omar to marry that nasty, mean servant girl. But she hadn't changed one bit. But Prince Omar had agreed to marry her, and he said that a promise was a promise. So on the morning of their wedding day, that old woman came along with that carpet all rolled up and gave it to Prince Omar. And she said, "My lord, Prince Omar, here is a wedding present for you." And Prince Omar unrolled the carpet and looked at it. And what was on the carpet? Well, it was a picture of that garden all hedged around with roses. And in the very middle of it was a portrait of the Lemon Princess herself. And when Prince Omar saw that, he said, "Who made this carpet? Bring her here to see me at once." So the Lemon Princess was brought to Prince Omar. And when he saw her, he knew her. And he said, "You are my Lemon Princess. Come back to me. You and only you shall be my bride. But where have you been? What has happened in all these long days?" And she told him the entire story of how the wicked servant had tricked her. Prince Omar sent guards to find the wicked servant girl, but when she heard they'd found out and they were looking for her, she began to run. She ran and she ran away into the next kingdom, and as far as I know, she's still running. And as for Prince Omar and the Lemon Princess, there was feasting and the sound of pipes and drums and great merriment at their wedding. And all their days on earth, they lived with great joy and happiness. The end.